sudden, when you used to walk out without a coat, you're like, "What's wrong with me? I'm freezing."
I thought I was sick. Honestly, I thought I was sick. My wife had said, no, you just lost weight. You feel cold now. I used to drive around with the air conditioning on in my van when it was in my truck when it was snowing outside.
That may be just pushing it a little bit there, Simon, but okay, no problem.
Icky, I think Icky we went on like a Slurpee run at one point and doing that.
That's okay. He lives in Phoenix.
Well, there's a reason why he lives in Phoenix. We froze him out in New York.
I do not miss the cold.
The one thing I remember about Icky the most was him cursing when it dropped below like 65.
Number one, I never curse, Simon. Okay,
I didn't mean cursing. Okay. I mean like cursing.
Parrots, we got to start the record again.
Yeah. Icky's a bad person. Woo!
Listen, if I just logged on now and I hear Simon saying the thing I remember most about Icky, I would think, Chas v'shalom.
Well, it's a good thing we have almost 2 years of recordings of me acting like this. So
well, we are very happy Elio's alive and well, right? As long as his face is not frozen, his face would be frozen on the screen, then maybe,
No, Thiago, you missed. The island was giving me a hard time that the only person I saw in New York was you. So
I hear. Okay. Listen, you guys open a yeshiva. He'll come visit you too. Although I wasn't opening a yeshiva. I was
going to say, is that where this is leading?
No. I just know people that have yeshivas. That's all.
I'm looking to start a kollel out here at Tzviakov. You want to be a Rosh kollel?
No, thank you.
With selling your house there alone, you can buy an entire block and a half.
I can buy an entire kollel. Buy an entire kollel. Okay, let's go. Thank you. All right, so we finished off yesterday because there's a major tosfos here that we have to discuss. Right, so we finished off yesterday. We're saying when did they light the fires to go from one hill or one mountain to the other mountain? So we said that it would be done on the night going into the 30th, and there was a whole back and forth. When can you do it? And the Gemara ends off with that if they wouldn't do it. So the Gemara asks, why don't they do it on the Malay, on a Rosh Chodesh that's a Malay that has 30 days, and never do it on the Rosh Chodesh that has 20, on a Chodesh that has 29, like this coming month, right? This month, Mar Cheshvan has 29 days in it. So maybe don't do the fires when there's 29 days and just do it on the 30th, right? So the Gemara answers no, because then there's going to be Mittel Melacha for 2 days, which Rashi says that Bittul Melacha for 2 days means on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah going to end up, people going to not be able to do Melacha for 2 days, and that's too much. Right? That's too much for people to do. Tosfos says it doesn't necessarily mean Rosh Hashanah. The second Tosfos is down. That doesn't necessarily mean Rosh Hashanah. It's Rosh Chodesh too. And we know that Rosh Chodesh, you're not supposed to do Melacha, and specifically women. Right? Yom Tov for the women was Rosh Chodesh. And why did the women get the Yom Tov of Rosh Chodesh? Right? The second Tosfos is down because they didn't participate in the Egel. So since they didn't participate in the Egel, the reward they got was that they don't do Malacha on Yom Tov, which the Mishna makes very clear. Men don't have this. Men have to do Malacha. Men get cuckoo if they don't do Malacha, right? So it doesn't apply for men. It applies for women, and that's their mitzvah, right? So the bottom line is Shulchan Aruch, when he paskins based on this Tosfos, or partially based on this Tosfos, that women are not supposed to do some malachas on Rosh Chodesh. So I think, if I remember correct, the lashon of the Shulchan Aruch is toiv lizar. Is it toiv or is it minig? I think he says minig toiv, which sounds like it's not mamash a requirement, but he says it's a good minig for women not to do malacha on Rosh Chodesh. It seems that this minig has gone by the wayside. But there's a lot of women that do. I mean, I get this question every Rosh Chodesh, especially this coming week, Friday, it's when it's a Friday, so not doing malacha. So the maximum halacha is like cholamoid. That the post can say that it's not any worse than cholamoid. So it means cooking is fine, and cleaning not really, but laundry. Many poskim say that laundry should not be done. Right? Shouldn't do laundry on Rosh. Women shouldn't do laundry. Others say that's the old days when they did laundry was a heavy work. Nowadays you just put it into a machine and press a button, which it seems like that's the minig of Klal Yisrael.
They're still not happy with that. They're not happy to do laundry.
They're not happy ever to do laundry.
That means by the way, that means you have to tell them it's Rosh Chodesh, right? If they don't know it's Rosh Chodesh, you don't have to tell them.
Yeah, correct. I guess, when they say, hey, is it Rosh Chodesh today? You say, no, it's not Rosh Chodesh. No, but yeah, so Rav Shlomo Zalman says it seems like the minig that they could do laundry. But the truth be told, the way the Bir Halacha says it, that the woman should be makabel on themselves some sort of malacha not to do, like sewing, which most women nowadays don't do anyway. So it's very hard to pin down exactly something, but there is a major inyan to women not doing malacha on Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so Ketzar. So now weiter in Gemara, we're around 10 lines down on Chav Gimel Aleph. This is it's interesting Gemara. I don't know, it's interesting. Aaron Kaplan sent all the pictures of all the different types of trees we're about to discuss. Yeah, so Kate said, how you masi and masuis, mevi and klunsas, which is still interesting that the Mishna felt. I mean, why is it important to describe to us how they made the fires? I mean, it's in quite a detail of how they made the fires, right? And then the Gemara goes also. So I'll take it because as Gemaras go, especially the way Rosh Hashanah has been going, it's relatively easy, but I'm not sure what the pshat is. Yeah, what are you saying about it?
It's just tied into you. I mean, I only heard a few minutes of the halacha shit tonight. I wasn't home, but that tefillin, it's all halacha Moshe Misinyai. There's one pasuk that tells you nothing that the tzeduk can make a mistake with. And here it's telling you it's spending how much ink on what kind of trees they cut down.
Yeah, you're right. That reminded Taka, today when I was giving the shear to the beginner shear. So the guy says, what is this thing about a drink? A lady drinks a drink and their stomach. I said, yeah, it's called saita if she's potentially promiscuous. I said, isn't it interesting that the Torah goes through that parsha with a fine tooth comb, tells you every little bit you got to do. But Shchita doesn't even tell you where you slaughtered an animal. So I said, they must have had a lot of promiscuity, and that was before internet. Can you imagine? Right? So it was, I don't know. Whatever, you're right. I don't know what, anybody see a pshat or hear a pshat? Why did the Mishnah go so into detail with this? I don't know. Okay, so I'm Rav Yehuda. So Daled Mine Arazim Hein, there's 4 types of erez. So how do they literally touch erez? Cedar, no? Cedar. So there's 4 types of cedar: erez, kasraim, eitz, shemen, uvroish. Yeah, fine. Kasraim. What is kasraim? Amar Rav Adra, Devei Rabbi Shila, Amri Mavliga. It's a Mavliga. Va'amri la zu gulmish. Upliga de Rabba bar Rav Huna, Damar Rabba bar Rav Huna, Amri bei Rav, Asara Mine Arazim Hein. There's 10 types of arazim. Shenemar etein bamidbar erez. Shita v'hadas v'eitz shemen asim ba'arava b'roish tidor usa asher yachtav and asher and then yachtav. These are all together, right? But so this is, by the way, this is only if you're keeping track at home. This was only 7, right? And we said that there's 10, so we'll see. So erez is arza, that's cedar. Shita is tornisa, so I think that's pine, right? The Targum says the Laz, Rashi says pine. Hadas is asa, that we know. That's hadasim. Eitz shemen is a farsima, right? That's a balsam. Broish is barasa. That's also a type of I don't know, whatever type. There's all different trees. Tidhar is shaga. Yeah. So and tashur is sharbina. So hani shiva hava, that's 7. So kiyasa Rav Dimi Amar hasifu alayim alunim, almunim, and almugim. Right, the 3 other different types of trees. Alunim is butmi, yeah, elm. Rashi says elm. Almunim is bluti, yeah. I don't know what Rashi means with that one. And almugin is ksisa. So what's ksisa? So that's the what do you call it? The grass that grows on the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, coralla. Rashi says coralla. So it's coral, right? Coral reefs, those type of things. That's the stuff that grows at the bottom of the ocean or of the rivers, or I don't know. Ikadamri aroinim armoinim almugin. It's aroinim armoinim almugin. Aroigim are. Aroinim are the are, right? Armoinim is dulvi and armoigin is ksisa. Again, coral. Then the pasuk, now the Gemara brings of how an interesting way of how they got the coral from the bottom of the floor. Right? So tzvitzi adir lo yavrenu, and a big ship will not be able to pass it over. So we had this before. I forgot where we had this, but Rashi says there was a nachal it's going to be coming out of the Beis Hamikdash. There's going to be a river, and it's going to be so big that even a huge ship cannot cross it over. So what does this mean? So Amar Rav, Zu Burni Gedoylo, this is a large ship. Hechi Avdu. So how would they do? What are they doing with this big ship in order to get the coral? So Maisi Shis Alfi Gavri, they would bring 6,000 men, the Treso Yarchishat, and they would need these men to be in service for 12 months. V'amri lo Treser Alfi Gavri, B'shisa Yarchishat. Some say it's the opposite. 12,000 men for 6 months service. Right? I think that ends up being the same manpower. Is that correct? Is my math correct? That's the same. It's the same manpower, just doing it in half, double the amount of men in half the time. Right? And then they would put salt in the boat until the boat will sink. Right? V'nochis bar amaroy, and then a nochis means to go down. Bar amaroy means somebody who knows how to swim in rivers. The kotar atuni the kisna b'ksisa, and then he would tie he would tie with flax ropes made out of flax to the coral, right? So I guess it would have to be. So Rashi says the reason why they're made out of flax is because they don't rip easily, and you ties it to the roots of the trees so that you can't tie it to the branches; it'll slip right off. That's I'm assuming. And then he ties the other end to the boat. And then they start taking out the sand. Again, they put in the sand into the ship so that it sinks. So then they take the sand, and they start taking it out of the boat, and then the boat starts rising because it no longer has weights. The medallia akromasia, and as the ship goes up, so these ropes that are grabbing onto the coral will rip the coral up, and it rises at the top. Machlif al chad train bekasva, and the coral is because it's obviously not easy to get. It's quite expensive, and you can sell one coral for two silvers, whatever it is. It's expensive. Tlas parvasa havion, and then there were three places that they did this. Parvasa is a port. Tarti Bei Armoy, 2 were by the Armoy. The Bei Parsai, and 1 was in the Persians. The Bei Armoy, Maskan Ksisa. By Bei Armoy, they would bring up the coral. The Bei Parsai, Maskan Marganisa. But in the Bei Parsai, they would bring up pearls. Right? They would get the pearls out of the bottom there. Mekaria, and they'd called it Parvasa de Mishmahig. Right? The port of the port of Melucha, Rashi says, of the kings. Yeah, I imagine that's because they got pearls, so therefore it's chashuv. Yeah, some of
I just got something going back like whatever 15 lines. He said that the 6,000 in 12 months and 12,000 in 6 months is the same manpower. Mathematically, It is. According to Rashi on the Miraglim, it's not. 2 people can do the work of 3. 2 people together could do the work of 3 by themselves.
Oh, so you want to say, so then it is really more?
It could be more, maybe.
Also, there's an nafkamina seasonally.
What do you mean?
Because in the summer you could work uninterrupted. In the winter you could get rained out.
Because of the weather. I hear you. Right. Okay, maybe. Okay, so Amar Rav Yochanan, Kol Shita b'Shita Shenatu Nachem Yerushalayim, any tree that they took that the Nachum took from Yerushalayim, Asar HaKadosh Baruch Hu La'asiron, La, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring it back. Shenemar etin ba'midbar erez shita. I put in the midbar erez shita. Be'ein midbar Ela Yerushalayim as Shenemar Tzion midbar haisa. Tzion was a midbar. Fine. B'amar Rav Yochanan. Now we say a bunch of my marim from Rav Yochanan. Kol alam b'Torah v'einem alamda. Whoever learns Torah and doesn't teach it, daimala hadas b'midbar, similar to hadas in the midbar, which is meaningless, right? What does it help to have a hadas in the desert and nobody ever sees it, right? Ikadamri, or the other way. I don't know if it's mamash the opposite, but kol alam b'Torah malamda. Anybody who teaches Torah, who learns Torah and teaches it b'makam shein talmud chacham, where there's nobody else to teach it, daimala hadas b'midbar, similar to hadas in the midbar to chavik. Right? Then if you have one hadas in the midbar, so then everybody's going to love that hadas. Fine. Woe is to the Oivdei she'ein lehem takana. Right? There's no takana for them. Right? Shenemar tachas hanachoshes avi zav v'tachas habarzel avi kesef. Under the copper is going to bring gold, and under the metal, what is it called, iron, is going to bring silver. Under wood is going to be copper, and under the stones is going to be barzel. Right? Meaning you can fix these things. Yeah. Tachas Rabbi Kiva v'chaveru man mavin, but who's going to take the place of Rabbi Kiva and his friends? Right? Meaning they were killed, asara ruge malchus or whatever it is. They're irreplaceable. Meaning wood and all that stuff. Like when people want to say eitzim v'avanim, when a tzara happens to somebody, when it's just on property or belongings, you say that should be on eitzim v'avanim. So that's replaceable. But the gedolim were not replaceable. V'aleim hu aimer, and by about them it says v'nikesi damam le'nikesi. I don't know if Peretz is on, but that could be the song of the daf for tonight, right? That the blood, we say this every day. What do we say it every week in Avarachim, right? He's not, that Hashem is never going to be able to cleanse, right? Rashi says if he's going to come to clean the goyim, he's not going to be able to cleanse them of the blood that they spilled of Klal Yisrael. Yeah, fine. Okay, so those are three Maimorim from Rabbi Yochanan. And we base building, right? So when they do it, and the Mishna goes through five mountains that they wave the fire. My base bilson. What is base bilson? Amarav on Talmud Beis now. Amarav zu biram. It's biram. Yeah. My goyla, and what's goyla? Amarav Yosef zu pumbedisa. That was referring to pumbedisa. Yeah. Fine. And my kavadura sa'esh. What does it mean that the whole galus was like one thing of fire? Tana kol echad ve'echad naital avuka b'yodei. Every person put a torch in their hand. Ba'ila l'rosh, and went to his roof. So when every house had a torch burning on their roof. So if you look at it from a mountain, it looks like the entire city is on fire. Tanya, Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Aimer af chorim v'koyer v'geder v'chavreseh. They also lit on the other mountains too, not just the ones that are mentioned in the Mishnah, by chorim, chayer, geder, and the chavreseh. Right? So not just the ones in the Mishnah. Igudamri beini ubeini havakaimi. Right? So some say it didn't extend it. The first shot is that the mountains extended the lights further and further. And this Igudamri says, no, they were in between the ones in the Mishnah. Igudamri, lahach gisa d'Eretz Yisrael havakaimi. And some say that it went to this side of Eretz Yisrael, mar chashuv d'hai gisa, right? And one is saying that it goes to one side, or mar chashuv d'hai gisa, and one is saying that it goes to the other side, right? So meaning that there was two ways to go to Bavel, where the Yidden were. So these were both, each one had its own track. Fine. Amar Rav Yochanan, bein kol achas v'achas shmeina parsais. Right, between every one of these mountains, there was 8 parsais. Yeah. So kama havaluhu, how much Hassan means how many parsais were there? Tlosin betartan. So you're gonna have 32, right? Because 5 times 8, 4. So there were 5, right? Because it's 5 mountains. That means in between 5 mountains is 4 is 4 spaces. So it's 4 times 8. That gets you 32. But nowadays there's a lot more room in between these mountains. So Rabaya is the Tume Statum Lahu Darki. What happened is that they a lot of construction and there's a lot of things blocking it, so therefore it takes longer to get around. Is going to block your way with serum is thorns, right? But if you'd go straight across, then Enochanami, you would be there a lot faster, right? That's the same thing. That got that helicopter to take to Manhattan, right? You go from Kennedy Airport to Manhattan is a whole lot faster. You go right across the water than getting in the car. It takes you an hour and a half, right? So Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak to sieve nesivaisa iva, right? That he twisted the nesivas, the paths. So that's why it takes a lot longer to get from one mountain to the other. But if you go, how do you call it? As the crow flies, then it's only 8 parsas between each one. Okay, Zok the Mishna. This is another Mishna that just shows you that us men have not changed in any way, shape, or form in our attitudes, right? Because there was a huge Chatzah, there were Beis Yaazek in Nikras. It was called Beis Yaazek. Ulasham Kol Ha'edim Wisconsin, right? And all the Edim gathered over there, right? Bezdin bite Sham, and Bezdin would be biting them there. Usudas Kedailas Eisen Lahem, and they made big sudas, so that they should come, right? Which is exactly, you want to give a shear that's popular, serve food. When you serve food, they come. And the pella of it is each person says, I'm not here for the food. I'm not here for the food. I'm coming anyways. So how come every shear that has food has 10 times as many people as without the food? But nobody is minded that they're there for the food. Okay. But
has that been a problem with anyone on the shear? Seriously, has anyone ever said, "Oh, I don't come for the food"?
I don't know. That's true. No, we're different. We know that.
No, because we have food in the house.
Yeah, but you're leaving the house to go to Gershi drives from Cleveland. He goes for the barbecues.
Yeah. I get accused for that every season. I come in for the food. Half the time I didn't eat.
Yeah.
Is it treif? Yeah, okay. Yeah, like my wife's grandfather used to pound down half a pound cake with his coffee. Oh, I'm not hungry. I don't eat a lot. No problem.
Yeah. I don't know what it does, but that's what that is the way it goes, and it's been going on since the Mishnah's time. So I'm trying to be mechazikas that we're not such balei taiva. That's all, because they would to get people to come to be mekadesh shechosh, they also have to serve them food. Anyway, so but
so we're making a siyum for Seder Mayid?
What?
We're making a siyum for Seder Mayid?
I would hope so. I thought there was going to be a siyum for Rosh Hashanah. I thought there wasn't this talk about that. I think there should be a siyum Rosh Hashanah because I made the calculation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but around when we finished Rosh Hashanah, we finished a quarter of Shas. Right? I think it's a 25%, which is a fine accomplishment. 25%, 3 more of those, and we, Bez Hashem. Anyways, so Barishayna, the beginning, they had to stay there. They were stuck. They were in jail, meaning you came on Shabbos and you came out of the Tchum, so then you couldn't leave. So then Hiskarim Gamliel Azaken made a takana that they were allowed to go 2,000 amas in every direction, as if it was their own town. Because otherwise, they're not going to come if they get stuck in jail for the rest of Shabbos. Even if there's food, you still get a little, right? Everybody leaves the kiddush eventually, right? So, but here you're locking them in, so then it's not gonna be good. If you have the midwife that comes to treat a woman who's having a baby, and the firemen that come to save from the Dleiko, and from the army, and from overflowing rivers, they're like the Anshe and they get 2,000 amas in every direction, as we've discussed quite a few times before. This is the heta for the Hatzalah guys to at least be able to travel a little bit. Now, whether they're allowed to do the rices, the rabbanans that we discussed in Erevin, right? The Ramesh's Kiddush says Hatzalah guys are even allowed to be over in a Surah Daraisa. Many others say no, they can only do the Rabbanans, not the Deraisa. So that's where the controversy comes in, that whether Hatzalah guys are allowed to drive home on Shabbos or not. Fine. Because again, here, it's according to most poskim, by walking out of the Tchum, they're being over on the Rabbanans, not a Deraisa. Even though Rabbi Kiva holds that the Tchum is Deraisa, but Lamaisa, we go with most poskim say it's a Derabanan, so we're allowing it to be over on the Derabanan, right? Not a Deraisa. Notice it doesn't say that they can carry, like they can be carried home or carry things home, that they're not allowed to do. So, okay, so that's part of the tumult. Okay, Zog the Gemara. Ibailu, base Yaazek Tanan, is it base Yaazek or base Yaazek without an ayin? Right? Spell with ayin, without ayin. Now, how is it? What's the difference? Base Yaazek Tanan, if it's base Yaazek, Lishna Ma'alyahu, which is it's a Lishna Ma'alya. Tichsiv, Vayazkeyu, Vayasalkeyu, right? And he put around a fence, and he cleared it, right? He took all the stones out of there, right? Which means that Yaazek is like there's a fence around this thing, so that's a good thing. Dilma base Yaazek Tanan, or it's base Yaazek, Lishna the Tzairuhu, it's a lashon of Tsar, to the Sivhu Aser Ba'azikim, right? And he was tied up with ropes or chains. So which one is it? Is it a good thing? Meaning that is it pshat that they made a fence around them to protect them? Or is it that they made like they chained them down? So I'm Rabbi Tashema, Suudus Gedoilus Hayu Oisen Lahem, Sham Kadeshi Regilim Lava. They made Suudus Gedoilus in order that they should be Regilim to come. Dilma Tarti Hava Avdi Behu. But so maybe the Gemara says that's not a raya, right? So it's because the Gemara wants to say they made huge Suudus Gedoilus that they should come. So that sounds like it's a good thing. So we say, no, maybe Dilma Tarti Hava Avdi, maybe they did both, right? Meaning they were very happy to get their food, but they're also stuck in a place that they can't move. So maybe it was a good thing and a bad thing. Okay. So the Mishna, how did they interrogate the Edom? Zug Shabarishon, Rishon, the first pair that came, right? So you first baidik, you go after one guy. Machnisin as a gadol shebehen, and you take the older one, right? Basically, we don't interview the witnesses at the same time. You have to take each one individually, so to see if they're saying the same story, right? And you always go with the older. You always go with the older one before the younger. They have iron light. It's covered.
It's a legal thing, though, right?
It's a legal thing, yeah.
So then, I mean, I understand why I would like maybe repeat it, but we already know that, like, right? We already know, like, Hilchos Dayanim or whatever, wherever it says in Even Ezra that you can't, that you shouldn't be, that you shouldn't interview them at the same time, right?
Right.
So, is this where it comes from? Is this where the halakha is coming from, or is this just like
it's like tampering,
right? Like, it's kind
well, why is it tampering? You're just interviewing each guy individually.
No, absolutely. We know it's tampering. We know it's like the wrong way to interview people, doing it at the same time.
Oh, yeah. So what are you saying?
Why do they have to say it here?
I mean, why do they have to? I don't know. They're just going through a description, I guess. I mean, they should go without saying. I hear that. Even though we know that they tamper with the witnesses.
Right.
We said that already a few days ago, that they tamper with them if they need them to say what they say, so they scare them or whatever. So maybe that's why they say this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's so that's telling that they do the traditional way. Fine. Was it in front of the sun or behind the sun? The tzfaina, was it to the north or the drama to the south? How high was it? Which way was it leaning? How wide was it? Right, meaning how wide did the moon look? If he said it was in front of the sun, then he said nothing. Which with the Gemara, right? We're going to learn in the Gemara what's exactly going on. I don't know if we're going to learn it. We're going to read it in the Gemara. That would be a more honest way of saying it. And then they will bring the second guy and check him out. If they're saying the same thing, and the other pairs, they just ask him just a few basic questions. Not because they needed them. They shouldn't go out to be sad, so that they'll come back. Meaning they'll be disappointed if they don't get asked any sort of question. So they bring them in and they ask them some perfunctory questions to make them feel better. Right? So Zog the Gemara, Hainul Fnei Achama, Hainul Etzfeina, Hainul La'achar Achama, Hainul L'Draima. What do you say?
Is that last halacha that we asked from Rosh Devarim from Hilchos Eidus or Hilchos Tzedakah?
No, tzedakah, I think. I don't know what tzedakah. What are you saying, tzedakah?
That kind of idea.
Yeah,
It's
you
not-
just, you're trying to make them feel good.
Oh, you want them to come back next time. We had
Right,
it.
so you're trying to- yeah,
you
you're
don't want
trying
to
to
make
make
it
them
feel
feel
good. You want they're gonna say you don't need me, so I'm not gonna come. We had to be Machal Shabbos for that.
Yeah.
You need them to come.
Right. We don't want them to be thinking, why should I go?
Right.
Yeah. So the Gemara says, so Gemara asks, when it says it's before the sun, it doesn't not mean to the north, and if it's behind the sun, then it's the south. So it seems to be the same thing. Why are you saying it's two different questions? The first question is the Tbikima, meaning the moon in the beginning of the month, right? I hope everybody at least looked at some sort of charts or whatever. As the sun comes around the earth, so the moon starts, or the earth comes around, the moon comes around, it starts slowly lighting up, which makes it like the earth is blocking, the sun is giving the light of the moon, right? And the earth is blocking it. So as it slowly moves, the moon starts showing. So it comes out as a curve, as everybody knows what a moon looks like, right? So is that facing the sun or away from the sun, right? That's the first question. If it says in front, facing the sun, he didn't say anything.
Yaakov, the last attachment that I put up has it very clear. It's really put up
Yeah,
very nice.
it was very good. Thank you.
It's a bunch of pages there. It's really very good.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah, it's good to check that out on the chat. Right? So ruling and fear is with him, and he makes peace in the high places. Right? How did he make peace? The sun never sees the pegima of the moon, meaning where the moon is not full, so it looks like a U-shaped, right? So the sun never saw it. And the pagamraika of what do you call it? Rainbow is the same way, right? So it's round, so it's missing the middle. So that also never sees the sun. The pegima of the levana, right, would have chalishas hadas. The light lemru that, and the reason for the rainbow wouldn't see the sun wouldn't see the beginning of the rainbow on Tamar was now is giri kam mishadya, because the sun is shooting. The meaning of the Avdei are going to say that the sun is shooting arrows at the people that deny it, right? So the people that are Avdei are going to say, you see, the rainbow is facing the sun, right? So okay, so that's why that they never face it. So if somebody says that he sees the moon facing the sun, then it's got to be a sheker, and therefore the edus is no good. Okay, we'll stop over here. Yeah, all right. Gute Nacht, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Solo.
Did they not know that the reason for a rainbow was because of the prism?
What?
Is this a Metzias Gemara again that we're having, like the sun? The Gemara we had about the sun going around the earth going around the sun.
Yeah.
This kashas. The reason it's round is because it goes through a prism.
Correct.
I mean, Is that why it goes through the prism? So the Oivdei Chama won't be, I mean, what does all this mean? It's simple why the what's it called? The Pikimas of Shalavana doesn't see the sun. That's impossible. Because it's the sun that lights it up. If the sun saw the Pikima, it would be lit up. That the Gemara is fine with.
Right.
But the Pikima shall Keshes, we need this Oivdei Kechavim business.
I was saying, what else do you want it to say?
The Metzias, like it does by the moon.
I don't know.
They knew what a prism was.
I guess. I would hope so.
So that's what it is. It's just impossible to see the sun. The sun has to come from the side, not the bottom. If it came from the bottom, there wouldn't be a rainbow. It's the same as the moon. If the light came from the bottom, the rainbow would be a halo.
Right.
So Yaakov, in other news,
Yeah.
I'm very happy with Yosef Bertelsky's Rabbi Weiss.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He hired Rabbi Chemia Weiss as a division head.
Is that so?
Yep.
Who? What's that? How many division heads?
He's
does
a
he need?
cousin of yours, by the way.
Yes, I